What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comment and Kick It. It is your host, Bando, and UFC 283 is this weekend, so you already know we got a lot to discuss. Of course, I wouldn't make an episode if we didn't. So here we are, and here we go. Enjoy the show. So, UFC 283 this weekend. Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship, the vacant Light Heavyweight Championship, where just 1 month ago should have been a determined champion, but unfortunately the matchup ended in a decision, a draw, a split draw, leaving us sitting with no light heavyweight champion. Now, just for a quick summary for the people who aren't hip and don't know what's going on with the whole division, Yuri Petroska won the belt earlier in the year against Glover Teixeira. Their rematch was supposed to be set in December. Unfortunately, Yuri had to pull out due to an extremely bad shoulder injury from what I heard and what everybody was saying. So he had to pull out from that. Unfortunately, couldn't make it to December. So Glover didn't take any fight in December. He decided to sit back. So the co-main of that fight card ended up being the main event, which was Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. And it was a good fight, kind of slow, but a good fight. Could have went either way, ended in a split draw. Out of Dana White's frustration in that night, which we've seen him do stuff like this before, where he gets frustrated at the end of the night, at the end of the fights, and he goes and just makes something happen, and he made this fight in Brazil between Jamal Hill and Glover Teixeira for the light heavyweight championship. So now that quick summary's over, let's get into the whole breakdown. Now, you already know this is a Brazil card. They got a lot of Brazilians fighting. It is a big card in Brazil. Huge. They got Johnny Walker. They got Jessica Andrade, Gilbert Burns, Glover Teixeira, Davison Figueiredo. Multiple people. Champions. Former champions. People are going to be very excited in Brazil for these matchups. And so am I. I'm not even in Brazil, and I'm super excited for these matchups. These are fantastic matchups in every which way. Now, I tend to break down the main card. I usually skip the prelims or keep the early prelims a little bit closer to fight night, and then just do a quick, prediction type of thing right before the night hits. But I got to look at this main card real quick, because this main card is a beautiful main card and has very interesting matchups on it. So overall, we got Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker opening the card. Two contenders. One contender with a good win can shoot himself into the top 5 and be in conversations for possible next title shot. One of the other fighters wins. He's keeping himself relevant in the division. Now, the winner that elevates himself could be Paul Craig. The other winner that keeps himself in a position just to stay in the UFC will be Johnny Walker. I think Paul Craig has this fight, though. Now, Paul Craig does have a tendency to where if he cannot get you down, his striking could be the downfall of his game plan. He tends to have a much more success when that fight is to the ground. I mean, he snapped Jamal Hill's arm in half, for Christ's sakes. Like, the man's a savage on the ground. He's beat Magomed Ankalaev down there, and he's been subbing everybody. I think he just got off a win against Nikita Krylov, which was a beautiful win. Again, submission win. The guy's very skilled. So Johnny Walker obviously has to avoid the ground in this fight, needs to keep it standing, and I don't think the big problem that has been in Johnny Walker's other fights poses a threat in this one, which is his chin. I think his chin will hold up perfectly fine in this fight, and not to say that Paul Craig can't knock him out. We're in the light heavyweight division. That's a heavy division, 205-pound men. Anybody can get knocked out in that division. It's very close to how heavyweight is. But I think if Johnny Walker can keep this fight standing, he could have good success. I think he needs to go back to his old explosive self, have a little bit of fun in there. Don't worry about getting hit. Obviously, you don't want to get hit, but don't worry about getting hit. I feel like a lot of these guys, they get knocked out and they're it's in their mind. You know what I'm saying? The chin is in their mind the whole fight. Like, oh, I gotta protect my chin, and they forget to beat themselves. And I think if Johnny Walker goes in there and beats himself, he could win the fight. But overall, I gotta lean towards Paul Craig just because of the submission, the grappling. He's too good on the ground, and if that fight goes anywhere near the ground, I think Paul Craig could secure a submission within 1 or 2. On to the next fight. You got Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. Contender matchup in the women's strawweight division. Very good division. Women's flyweight division. I'm thinking strawweight because Andrade used to be in that division. It's the 125-pound division. Lauren Murphy, former title challenger. Jessica Andrade, former title challenger. Both took a fall to Valentina Shevchenko. Both lost to Valentina Shevchenko because Valentina is the bullet and she's a beast. Might as well throw that quick announcement in there. Her and Alexa Grasso seems like it just been made official for, I think, March. So we got another one added on to that Jones and Cyril Gane card. So that's going to be beautiful. That's a nice addition, and I like that fight. But Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy is an interesting fight. You have a huge favorite in Jessica Andrade in this one. The last I saw, she was like a minus 500. So who knows how the numbers are going to be and how the odds are. I don't know if you guys are into betting or not. But you know how with the fight odds, they fluctuate a lot. So I don't know where it's going to be by fight night. But yeah, she's a big favorite right now. Understandably so. Lauren Murphy not coming off the best fight. Jessica Andrade not coming off. I think she's coming off the Amanda Lemos fight. So actually a beautiful fight that she's coming off of. A beautiful finish. A standing arm triangle. I think the first in women's history. So beautiful, beautiful submission against a surging Amanda Lemos, who is an absolute animal in that division. Is going to be a problem. Just wait for that. I promise you she will be a problem. But Jessica Andrade stopped the hype train. She slowed it down and she beat her. And the thing about Jessica Andrade is, again, just like I was talking about Paul Craig, the jiu-jitsu, the ground game, the grappling. Her grappling is so skilled that she's a danger on the ground. But here's the biggest issue. Standing up with her is an even bigger issue because she hits hard as hell. She might be one of the hardest punchers in the women's division. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't see many women get knocked out starch cold, and she sent Karolina Kovacevic to the freaking I don't even know, the Shadow Realm. That's where she went. She went to the Shadow Realm. And when a woman has power like that, that's scary. And she's got scary power. Now, we all know Lauren Murphy's game as it gets. I just don't know if the skill set matches. I think if she could take this fight and make it, grimy, make it dirty, a bit of a sloppy fight, honestly, and force Andrade into breaking her game plan, getting her out of her comfort zone, maybe. But I just don't see Lauren Murphy coming out with the win in this fight, regardless. I think Jessica Andrade, 1, being home, and 2, just her skill set. I think she's levels above Lauren Murphy. But Lauren Murphy is one tough broad. You can't count her out. So I'm not going to count her out, but I am rocking with Jessica Andrade in this one. I would say probably a decision win. I would have to go decision. So if somebody's trying to take some money, put it on it, I would rock with the decision, but I tend to tell people to go with something when they bet, and they fucking lose. So don't listen to me when it comes to betting. But I won't bet on that fight, and I'll be right. But if I bet on that fight, she'll get knocked out in the first round. That's just how it goes. So I need to listen to that dude, Skinny Bets. You guys ever paid attention to Skinny Bets? Motherfucker don't miss. He literally doesn't miss. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. The cat don't miss. And he bets on pretty much fucking everything. But his fight bets hit every time. I don't get it. I don't think I'll really ever understand how so many people hit when it comes to the betting shit. But that's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother conversation. We'll just wait until James Krause could talk about that one. Too soon? May have been. May have been. Ain't that some shit? Fucking that James Krause shit. That's wild, bro. Wild. And I think they just flagged another dude, Jeff Molina or whatever his name is. I think that's his name, Jeff Molina. They just flagged him down because of something behind that as well. So they're getting everybody that was involved. Anybody that has any type of involvement in what James Krause was doing, they're getting caught. I mean, that shit happens. Betting is not an easy thing. It's barely legal for the most part. It's barely legal. So you're already treading on a thin wire, and he crossed the line. It happens, though. We'll see what happens with that. That's not what we're here to talk about. Like I said, we're here to talk about UFC 283 because you're as excited as I am. I love when the fights come back around. I love it, love it, love it. And another fight on this card that is such a beautiful matchup. Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. is a matchup made in heaven, in my opinion. You have two game motherfuckers. That's one. We'll get that out the way. Two guys that accept fights with anybody. Never back down. Will meet you right in the middle and trade. Meet you right in the middle and try to fight you at the best, at your best game. You know what I'm saying? They'll try to fight you at what you're best at. Win, lose, or draw, they'll go at you. They have no fear. Neil Magny being the having the most wins in welterweight history. Because he takes fights. Shout out to Neil Magny. The man takes fights. He don't turn fights down. So you gotta have respect for a guy like that who's willing to get in there, scrap it out with the best of them, and never turn down the fight. This matchup is really nice though, like I said, because stylistically the fight can go anywhere. You got two guys that have skilled stand up, and then you have two guys that have skilled grappling. In my opinion, grappling wise, it's leaning towards Gilbert, but at the same time, you can't take nothing away from Neil Magny. Neil has been training with Hamzat a little bit. Who knows? Neil seems like he's very strong. He's good in the clinch aspects if he's the one leading it and he has your back up against the cage. He seems to do well in those positions. And if he gets comfortable with the striking and just mixing the game in altogether, once a guy like Neil Magny gets comfortable, it's hard to get him out of the zone. He did it against D-Rod. You saw it, and he outlasted D-Rod. I think he can outlast Gilbert Burns cardio-wise, but Gilbert is also a cardio machine, man. The dude don't get tired, and he's ready to go. I would say, in terms of intensity and being explosive, Gilbert's a huge threat on that side. In terms of staying technical, staying clean, playing around, keeping the distance and stuff like that, I gotta lean with Neil Magny. This is a tough fight for me to call right now because you try to play off the odds, you look at the odds, Gilbert Burns is the favorite right now. But you cannot count Neil Magny out. Neil is an absolute dog, and I just can't wait for this fight. I can't wait for this fight. Let me bet on the fact that it'll be fight of the night, because I could probably guarantee you if it's either this will be fight of the night, and if this isn't fight of the night, then that co-main event will be fight of the night, and that co-main event is history in the making. The fourth fight, the first ever fourth fight in UFC history, and it is between Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno, and I am super excited for that one. Gotta just say it, I'm always rocking with Brandon Moreno. I've been rocking with the babyfaced assassin since the jump. I just like his energy, man. He's very positive, and he's dorky. He's the type of dude that collects Legos, and you'll see him, he's got Funko Pops and shit. I fuck with that. The dude never lost touch with the real reality and things that make him happy. I like that. Nothing against Deiveson Figueiredo, because I fuck with him too. That man is a savage when he's in there. And that's why I like this matchup, because these two are two savages when they step foot in that octagon. And they're just a perfect matchup to meet each other that always bring the best out of each other. But who is going to show up Saturday night? That's the biggest question. You've had the first fight a draw. Both men showed up, but both men on a short notice fight right away. You know what I'm saying? It was a quick, but they ended up almost getting a fight of the year contender right at the end of the year in December of, it was either 2020 or 2021, but I think it was 2020. 2021, I think Brandon Moreno actually, I know for sure that's when he won the UFC, I can't talk. The UFC flyweight title. That's when he won by submission. It was a beautiful submission, and it was a good fight. The fight was good, but you clearly saw that Brandon came in a little bit more prepared, a little bit more humble than Deiveson Figueiredo was, and he ended up humbling Deiveson Figueiredo. But coming back for the third fight, Deiveson Figueiredo brought the heat, brought a different game plan, mixed it up a lot. Now, in my opinion, I thought the fight went to Brandon Moreno's favor, but anybody can look at it and say it was close enough to go either way, and I won't disagree with that. But now we go on to the fourth fight. Deiveson Figueiredo taking the last one. Who's going to come out with the win this time? Like I said, I'm rocking with Brandon Moreno, but I say I'm rocking with Brandon Moreno because I feel like if he can avoid getting drawn into a dogfight, and just mix his game in. I know I'm always saying that for every fighter, they need to mix it up. But Brandon Moreno's game, he has a very, very skilled ground game in terms of, I'm going to take you down and I'm going to work for the finish. I'm not just going to take you down, lay on top of you, land shots. I'm going to take you down and work for the finish. He goes for a submission. The toughest thing, though, is you don't see a guy like Deiveson Figueiredo being very easy to take down and hold down. He hasn't been in every fight, so it's tough. The time that Brandon submitted him, he dropped him with a jab. So different when you get dropped, you get rocked a little bit, stumbled, and then the guy grabs position, and that's exactly what Brandon did. I think Brandon needs to mix in that ground game if he wants to win this fight, and obviously not get drawn into a dogfight, because not that I don't think he could win the dogfight. I think any one of those Mexican style fighters, they could win any dogfight that they're in, but I think that's very tough to get the decision if this goes 5 against Deiveson Figueiredo in Brazil. And who knows? Who knows on who wins this fight, what happens after this. But it's huge for the flyweight division. This is huge for the flyweight division, history in the making, and you got to just be super thankful that this fight is even happening. Now, for the main event, you got Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill. Badass fight. That's all I can say. It's a badass fight. Glover Teixeira, very, very skilled. Never lost touch. Never lost his touch in all of his fights in terms of age. A lot of people think age is a big thing, but he's never lost a stride. He looks better almost every fight he gets in. And stylistically, it's a difficult matchup for Jamal Hill. But Jamal Hill is very explosive, very powerful, and very quick. Can he use that to his advantage against a guy like Glover, who has been in there against the best of the best, who's got the IQ and who's got the experience, being in multiple 5-round fights, not just a few, multiple 5-round fights against the best. Like I said, it makes it very difficult for Jamal Hill to come in there and get this win. But I'm still rocking with Sweet Dreams, because one punch can change everything. Like I was saying with Paul Craig and Johnny Walker, it's the light heavyweight division. Anything can happen. And I think Jamal Hill is going to, I think he's going to finish Glover Teixeira. But if he doesn't, and he doesn't early, if Glover could take this fight as long as he wants to, I think Glover can outlast him in 5. And I think Glover's wrestling and jiu-jitsu gets more dominant the later the fight gets. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, he's never out. You can never count him out. So Jamal Hill's got the toughest fight of his career in front of him. But at the same time, Glover Teixeira's got a huge fight in front of him. And a very, I don't know how to say it. It's a very difficult fight. It's something that could make or break part of his career. So we'll see. But I'm rocking with Sweet Dreams in that one. So I know you guys are excited for UFC 283. I'm extremely excited. And I guess I'll just have to do a little bit more breaking down before Saturday, because like I always say, I like seeing the energy of the guys on the vlogs and different interviews and podcasts and stuff like that. So I'll be back again probably Friday night to drop something else on you, and we could talk about some more fight stuff. There will always be more news to talk about in the MMA world, in the combat sports world, boxing, MMA. I know I got to get more in touch with my boxing stuff. I promise you I will. But I appreciate you for listening to this video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again for listening. Peace.